Hello, friends. Today I would like to share a little bit of knowledge with you from some recent epiphanies and downloads about the nature of our reality. I'd also like to help you practically apply this knowledge to a situation in your life to help you move from a 3D, perhaps lower vibe approach into a very empowered, what one might call a 5D mindset. So, first, I'd like to start by telling a little bit about a recent conversation I had with a friend. This friend and I were at dinner and having conversations about all the chaos in the world and the very intense energy we are experiencing. And through the course of that conversation, we talked about third dimensional, fourth dimensional, and fifth dimensional realities. You're all pretty familiar with the third dimension. We live in it, we think in it, we feel in it. It is a realm with lots of emotion. Many people in the third dimension are not all that conscious and aware of all the possibilities and all the other layers of reality. For those that are perhaps a little bit more asleep at the wheel, it can be like being a sheep led around by whatever forces, whichever way the wind is blowing. Some people in this consciousness feel like victims, feel like they are not empowered, are not able to make changes in their lives, and some never try. But here in the third dimension, we do have options. We do have the ability to do our inner work. We have the option to explore higher consciousness. And I'll get back to that in a minute. But let's take a quick look at the fourth dimension. This friend I was having a conversation with suggested that the fourth dimension is inhabited by consciousness and beings that exist at a less dense layer of reality. And these beings have an awareness of self determination, the ability to move and go and do and change things that might be, in some ways, more advanced than many here in the third dimension. Yet, my friend made it very clear that the consciousness, the beings of the fourth dimension, do not have the oneness consciousness, the divine consciousness. And that leads us into the fifth dimension. In the fifth dimension exists the ability for what one might call divine consciousness or oneness consciousness. That strong, constant awareness that we are connected to every other being, every other inanimate object throughout multiple layers of reality. And this awareness that we have a connection with and a loving energy with higher consciousness. So if we rewind a bit to the fourth dimension, fourth dimensional beings' consciousness has no awareness of the interconnectedness of all that is. But there is a feeding off of emotional energy in the third dimension. So, fourth dimensional beings are quite aware of emotions, particularly what we might consider negative emotions in the third dimension. And they will feed off of strife, anger, envy, bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, etc., etc. But as we move up to the fifth dimension, in that higher consciousness, there is no desire to feed off of negative emotions or to manipulate or control beings in a lower dimension, as the case might be in the fourth dimension. In the fifth dimension, there is this awareness of love, awareness that when we pulse out love, help, forgiveness, etc., that has a profound positive impact. On the contrary, there is the awareness in the fifth dimension that when we ripple out negativity, that very much has consequences as well. So, how does this knowledge apply in our lives? Well, let me give you an example. Let's say that you have a very close friend and you share a very shameful, deep, dark secret with that friend. This friend goes and gossips about your confidence, your secret that you share with other people, and you find out about it. Naturally, you are going to feel some very intense emotions: betrayal, of course, hurt, resentment, sadness, anger, a range of emotions. That is part of our three-dimensional experience. Now, you could potentially stay stuck in those emotions and not fully move through them to the other side. For instance, if you did not forgive this person who had wronged you, you could stay stuck with these negative emotions and potentially become prey or victim of fourth dimensional consciousness, being controlled and manipulated with thoughts like, oh, I must be a bad person, I must have deserved this, or even thoughts of revenge and anger. But to get to fifth dimensional thinking, fifth dimensional consciousness, which we as three-dimensional beings have the option to do, it's very important that one processes all of that emotion, writing, journaling, meditating, etc., doing our breathing exercises, actually forgiving. And once one has done that inner work, face those difficult emotions, process them, and move to the other side, then one can be fully liberated into fifth dimensional thinking, where we can understand why that particular painful episode happened. Perhaps it happened because there was something we were meant to learn from it. Perhaps it happened to give us greater strength, healthier boundaries, better discernment. In fifth dimensional thinking, we have the ability to look at difficult, challenging, painful things and understand their greater purpose and apply the greater wisdom from those difficult experiences. So I'd like to take you through a brief meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable seated meditative posture. Join me in 2 clearing breaths where we inhale to the belly, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. In a big exhale, sigh out the mouth, release the shoulder blades down the back. Let's do that again. Deep inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Big sigh out, release the shoulder blades down the back. And I invite you to bring your awareness into the very center of the brain, where the pineal gland exists. And here in this central awareness, where we do have access to our higher self, higher consciousness, I invite your higher consciousness to help your conscious awareness come up with a difficult challenge that you are currently facing, perhaps an emotionally charged challenge. Take a pause to feel, remember. Chances are the first one that comes to mind is the most likely the best one to go with. And once you are aware of your emotionally charged challenge, I invite you to think of all the emotions that accompany that challenge, particularly the difficult or painful emotions, then just take a moment to acknowledge each of those emotions. We all are aware of what it's like to remain stuck in difficult emotions, feeling like we are unable to escape or move forward. That can come with states of unforgiveness, resentment, etc. And I'd like your conscious awareness and higher awareness to connect on helping you to understand what fourth dimensional consciousness would look like. In other words, if you were to remain stuck with fourth dimensional manipulation or control, what would that look like here in your 3D life? How would it look to stay stuck, unable to move forward, unable to progress through this emotionally charged challenge? Take a moment to sense and feel. And now, with the wise guidance of your higher self, I invite you to shift into fifth dimensional consciousness around this situation. To get through the fourth to the fifth, it may require forgiveness, a letting go or a grieving of something that's difficult to release or grieve. Could be something else entirely, but take a pause to feel what is your higher self saying is necessary to shift from fourth dimensional stuckness into fifth dimensional freedom. And finally, in fifth dimensional awareness, what do you become aware of about this situation? What were you meant to learn? Or how are you meant to grow? Perhaps what are the strengths that you gain from going all the way through this experience, from the third dimensional emotion through the fourth dimensional processing rather than staying stuck, all the way to the liberation of acceptance, making peace with, and understanding. When you feel complete, I invite you to open your eyes and definitely recommend writing down some thoughts and reflections. This greater awareness of third, fourth, and fifth dimensional reality, not that those are the only layers of reality, but the awareness of these layers of reality has tremendous practical application for our growth, our awakening, and our greater awareness. I look forward to seeing you again soon in another meditation. Until next time.